Welcome to another section. In this section, we will discuss the fate of RBCs. So the fate of RBC, by this we mean what happens to an RBC, that is the red blood cell, when it reaches the end of its lifespan. Basically, RBC stands for red blood cells, and these red blood cells constitute more than 99% of the packed cell volume. That is, these are the most numerous cells in the blood. So let's discuss what happens with the RBC as it becomes old. Before that, I would like to tell you about the main component which is present inside the RBC, that is the hemoglobin. So here's a diagram of hemoglobin. The molecular structure of hemoglobin consists of 4 globin chains and 4 heme groups. So out of the 4 globin chains, 2 are alpha globins and 2 are beta globin chains. You can see 2 of the green chains are alpha globin chains and 2 of the yellow chains are beta globin chains. Each globin chain has a small iron porphyrin complex or a heme group present inside it. So the globin part constitutes 95% of the hemoglobin and the heme part constitutes only 5% of the hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is basically made up of 2 components, the heme part and the globin part. Globin part as in 4 globin chains are present and the heme part consists of 4 heme groups. Alongside, there is a detailed structure of heme group. So this heme group is basically a tetrapyrrolic iron porphyrin complex. That is, the heme consists of 4 pyrrole rings. These rings host an atom of iron inside them. It's a complex molecule and the central metal atom inside the iron porphyrin complex is a ferrous ion, that is Fe2 positive ion. So this was the general structure of hemoglobin. So let's come back to our topic, that what happens to the RBC when it becomes old. Actually, the young RBCs are quite elastic, they are quite flexible. They can get folded also. Therefore, they can squeeze through very fine capillaries or fenestras or pores. They can be squeezed out of very small pores. On the other hand, the old RBCs are not so flexible. They are quite fragile. So we have an organ present behind the stomach, which is the spleen. Inside the spleen, there are fine pores known as trabeculae, minute pores known as trabeculae. And when the RBCs are squeezed through the trabeculae under an extra hydrostatic pressure, they get ruptured. So here's the thing, if the RBC is a young RBC, it's quite flexible and will get folded and will easily be squeezed through the trabeculae. However, the old RBCs will not be able to bear the trauma of this squeezing and will get ruptured. So when the RBC gets ruptured, the entire hemoglobin content, it comes out of the RBC and what is left behind is the ghost of RBC, that is the cell membrane of RBC. This ghost of RBC is phagocytosized by the macrophages. Basically, it is dumped in the spleen where the macrophages and other phagocytotic cells will destroy it. This is the reason that spleen is also known as the graveyard of RBCs, because the ghosts of RBCs are dumped inside the spleen. Now this hemoglobin, on the other hand, which was released inside the blood, is phagocytosized or consumed into the macrophages. Macrophages will separate the hemoglobin back into the heme group and the globin part. They will separate the heme and the globin content. So once the hemoglobin has entered inside the macrophages, it will be broken down into the heme and the globin. Now basically, globin is the proteinaceous part. The macrophages will break the globin chain into the amino acids. These amino acids will become the part of the cellular pool, will get stored inside the macrophages and will be utilized as required. Since amino acids are quite required in the cell, they will be utilized. That is, these amino acids will be reused. On the other hand, the heme group is further broken down into 2 parts, the iron and the porphyrin chain. Yes, actually you must remember that heme is an iron porphyrin complex in the form of a circular ring this ring is broken and is converted into a porphyrin chain. Therefore, this chain is no more able to hold the iron molecule inside it. So the iron, it gets released and the porphyrin chain is then converted into biliverdin and finally into bilirubin within the macrophages. So basically the macrophages will break the entire heme group, that is the tetrapyrulic iron porphyrin complex, into a porphyrin chain which is converted finally into bilirubin and the iron is released. Both bilirubin and iron so formed inside the macrophages will be released into the blood. Now here we have two flow charts. First flow chart is showing what happens to the iron which is released by the macrophages into the blood. And the second flow chart is showing what happens to the bilirubin which was released by the macrophages into the blood. So let's discuss the first flow chart. Once the iron has entered inside the blood, there is a protein which acts as the carrier of the iron. Iron will combine with the transferrin and will travel inside the blood. This iron reaches to the liver. Inside the liver, the hepatocytes have apoferritin which has very high affinity for the iron. Hepatocytes will absorb the iron from the blood, and inside the hepatocytes this apoferritin will combine with iron and result in the formation of ferritin, which is basically the storage form of iron. When this iron is required for the formation of new RBCs, again the ferritin is broken down into apoferritin and the iron will be released. Therefore, iron is not wasted, it is retained inside the body and is reused again and again to form new RBCs. On the other hand, the bilirubin which was released into the blood is carried along with the albumins. So the carriers of the bilirubin are albumins. So these albumins will carry the bilirubin to the liver. Inside the liver again the hepatocytes will absorb the bilirubin and convert the bilirubin into a conjugated bilirubin. Inside the hepatocytes, the bilirubin will be combined with glucuronic acid and converted into conjugated bilirubin. Conjugated bilirubin is also known as bilirubin glucuronate. So let's discuss what happens to this conjugated bilirubin. Iron will be reutilized. Let's see what happens to the conjugated bilirubin. So basically you know now that the conjugated bilirubin is actually a byproduct of porphyrin chain, which is a nitrogenous waste, and nitrogenous wastes cannot be stored in body, they need to be excreted. So this conjugated bilirubin enters into the bile juice. It is actively secreted into the bile juice and this bile juice is secreted into the intestines. Inside the intestine, the conjugated bilirubin is converted into urobilinogen. Now a part of this urobilinogen gets converted into stercobilinogen. Stercobilinogen is excreted along with the stools or feces. Now during excretion, the feces, when they come in contact with the atmospheric oxygen, the stercobilinogen is oxidized to the stercobilin. So basically a part of urobilinogen is converted into stercobilinogen and finally into the stercobilin and is excreted along with the stools. On the other hand, a part of this urobilinogen is again reabsorbed into the intestines and from the intestine it enters the blood. Now what happens is the entire amount of urobilinogen which is reabsorbed into the intestine, out of that 5% is retained inside the blood plasma and rest of it is again re-excreted into the bile and enters the intestine and the circle repeats again. Now let's talk about what happens to this 5% of the urobilinogen retains inside the blood plasma. So when the plasma reaches the kidneys, inside the kidneys this 5% of the urobilinogen which was retained inside the blood plasma is filtered through the kidneys and is converted into urobilin which is excreted along with the urine. So what happens that the urobilinogen which is retained into the blood plasma will be filtered through the kidneys along with urine and inside the urine the urobilinogen gets oxidized to the urobilin. So basically we can say bilirubin is excreted in two forms. Stercobilinogen which finally gets converted into stercobilin and is excreted through the stools, while we have another byproduct of urobilinogen which is urobilin which is excreted through the urine. So, the entire porphyrin chain is finally broken down into stercobilin excreted through the stools and into the urobilin, which is excreted through the urine. So this was the entire fate or the entire journey of what happens to an old RBC, how it is destroyed, into what components it is broken down. So basically we know that almost entire component of the hemoglobin is retained except for the porphyrin ring or the porphyrin chain, which contains nitrogen, and therefore it is a nitrogenous waste. It cannot be retained in the body and has to be excreted. However, the iron and the globin, which were converted into amino acids, so the iron as well as the globin chain, they are preserved inside our body and reutilized for the formation of new RBCs. That is all for today. Thank you.